What if I told you that right now there's a much better promotional strategy that you can use to get way better results for your Facebook ads? And the best part about this strategy is that it not only looks at the short-term results, but it also encompasses long-term growth and sustainability for your business. So that's what I'm going to show you in this video. I'm also going to give you a little freebie in the end of the video. So if you stick around to the end, I will show you where you can get this checklist where you can just go through every time you want to run a promotion, check off everything. And by doing that, you will essentially have applied this strategy and maximize the likelihood of you getting the best possible results you can for your sale. And if you're new to the channel, my name is Oli. I run Strand Media, a performance marketing agency helping e-commerce and info product businesses scale from 6 to 7 figures. Over the last few years, I've been working with businesses all over the world, both in Scandinavia, Europe, US, Australia, UK, even Japan, managing over multiple 7 figures in ad spend. And this channel is just where I share what I learn along the way for free with you guys. So if you're interested in seeing more content like this, make sure you click the subscribe button below and get notified by clicking the notification bell as well. So let's get into it. So what do I mean with promotional strategy? Promotional ads that you run on Meta is essentially just ads that you have an offer on that is time limited. So you run them for a specific period of time and they always have an end date. The only exception to this definition here is the evergreen offer strategy. That is something I'm not going to get into in this video, but it's actually a very interesting strategy that I will make a video on for next week. So make sure you subscribe so you see that. But just to make sure we're on the same page, some examples of ads that encompasses this strategy. As you can see, Snug here, they have a 20% off and they have some urgency there, and it's like very focused on the promotion of the whole offer. So this is not focusing on informing people about the product or the benefits that much. It's more just focused on the savings and the value of the offer. That goes for a Gymshark ad right here as well. As you can see, they're not really focusing on the specific things of the products. It's more about how much you can save as a customer. So in general, you can also kind of see that these type of ads, of course, depending on the product, but in most cases, these ads will be most relevant for people that already have awareness of the brand or the product that they're seeing these ads from. So the first part of this strategy is making sure that you structure your offer for getting the best results. So both short term, but also long term. And this is going to differ a little bit depending on your business. But essentially, there are 2 ways you can look at this. You want to make an offer that has the sweet spot or the best combination between gross margin and cost of acquiring a new customer, so the CAC, or also as referred to as the CPA or cost per acquisition. So as you can see here, offer C will have the highest CAC, so the highest cost of getting in a customer. That usually means that the offer is not that appealing. People aren't really that interested and the conversion rate for the offer is fairly low. For offer B right here, you can see that the gross margin is a bit higher and the CAC is a bit lower. So this is a better offer, right? If you run this offer, you will have better overall results because you will get in more customers at a lower cost and your margin is going to look better. But at the top here, we have offer A, which has the highest gross margin and the lowest CAC, and this is the offer you want to run. Obviously, this might not be as obvious for you. You might not exactly know what the CAC is going to be for these different offers. So this is why you either need to look at your historic results and kind of figure out on average what has your CAC been for the previous offers that you have been running with. But you can also, of course, survey your customers and think for yourself what type of bundling or what type of offers can you put together that would be the most effective. Most of the times when I work with my clients, they usually always have an idea of what offers are the most effective because they've been running offers over time and they always notice which ones work the best and which ones are the least effective. Now, one thing to note here is that you can also structure your offers for more long-term growth. So if you're able to not just look at the first order profitability, but you're actually able to look at like a 90-day lifetime profit or a 90-day lifetime value, depending on what you prefer looking at. Of course, profit is more aligned with what you actually want at the end of the day. You will essentially do the same thing here, but here you want to find the sweet spot between the offer that has eventually turns into the highest 90-day lifetime profit with the lowest CAC or the lowest CPA. So the reason why it's a big difference between these 2 structures of how you put the offer together is that this one, and when you focus on 90-day lifetime profit, you will not even look that much on the first order profitability, right? So sometimes the first order profitability might be really bad, but that could be because you're actually running an offer that's maybe just a sample product, maybe just a bundle of some samples that you want to let your new potential customers try out. And then you have a proper upsell or cross-sell system in the back end. So maybe they come in through this low ticket offer with not the best margin, but then after that, you have a really high customer retention on that SKU. So when you run this offer, the cohort of customers coming in through this offer will result in a really high 90-day lifetime profit that will make up for potentially the loss that you have on the first order. So this is why it's good to look at both options. Of course, this totally depends on what type of business you have and how you run your business in order to figure out which of these offer structures you should be looking at running. But just be aware that you could either take a first order profitability approach and find the sweet spot between the lowest CAC and the highest gross margin, or you can do as here, look at 90-day lifetime profit or even 30 or 60-day lifetime profit and combine that with the lowest CAC. So this is what you should consider when you put your offer together. Now, one practical tip here is that usually what we see in our experience, when you have a complex offer, it usually turns into a higher CAC. So as an example, if the offer is that the customer has to buy a SKU from a very specific category to get X amount of dollars or X amount of percent off another additional item, then this becomes a little bit complex to communicate. On the other hand, if you run with a much simpler offer, for example, 30% off site-wide sale, it's going to be much easier to effectively communicate to your customers or your potential customers. And it will also turn into a lot more sales at a lower CAC. But again, running with a site-wide discount could then again turn into a lower gross margin on those orders. So you definitely have to take that into consideration when you set things up. But just keep this in mind, we usually always see a pretty high increase in CAC when we start to add complexity to the offers that we run. Now, a few mistakes you need to avoid when you're structuring your offer, okay? So if you only offer discounts, you can over time attract the wrong type of customers. We've seen this mistake for quite a lot of businesses where they actually get into a place where they're not making a lot of sales. So the first thing they think of is run a discount to get sales back up. But when they do that, of course, all the customers coming in to their ecosystem, right? These are customers that are only buying when you have a discount, or at least a big percentage of them are only looking for buying during sales. So over time, the algorithm is also going to optimize for finding customers like this. And this can really turn into a really negative spiral, right? You only make sales when you run discounts. So you run with a really, really low margin, and you always have to compete on price with your competitors because your main thing in marketing is just discounts. And that's just not a good way to go for most businesses, in my opinion. If you really want to have a long-term sustainable business, you should definitely focus on keeping a good margin and at the same time making sure you attract customers based on your product and not just what money they save from buying from you. So keep that in mind as well. So another problem there is running promotions too frequently. If you always run promotions very, very frequently, there's never going to be customers that will buy when you don't have a promotion. So over time, you will just eat up your margin and you will only get sales when you run promotions. So definitely keep that in mind. Make sure you have a long-term strategy there. And if you have a low month, maybe instead decrease your marketing efforts a little bit during that time. I'm also going to talk a little bit about some other things you can do instead of eating up your margin to still get sales up. But definitely keep in mind that you don't want to get into this negative spiral where you only get sales by running promotions. So instead, you should do this to increase your sales when you have your low months. So review your historical sales data and plan your marketing efforts accordingly. So I will now show you an example of how you can do that. So this plays into what I call the best e-commerce calendar strategy, where you actually create win in the doldrums. So if you're not familiar with the doldrums, that's basically parts of the ocean where you have no wind for really long periods of time. And back in the day before engines were invented and people were only sailing on the wind power, when they get into a doldrum, they could be stuck there for, weeks and months, run out of food, and it was a really horrible experience. Same thing can happen for a business. All of a sudden you're in a month where you're just not getting any sales and you don't know what's going on. You don't really have a clear view of when sales are going to get up again. So the way we do there, we create our own wind. And how we do that is we look at the history of sales. We find the periods where we see a low months and slow months of sales, right? And then we try to figure out how we can refresh our marketing, re-angle it without using necessarily discounts and really promotions where, you have to eat up your margin, but instead just making sure we refresh our marketing and use angles and different ways of, yeah, just getting attention and increasing sales. So as an example, this is one of our clients where we looked at the history of their sales, and we found in particular that February was kind of a slow month, and we looked at what I've been doing in February in the past, and I haven't really been doing anything. So because of the products that they're selling, it would make a lot of sense to lift the amount of sales by either running a Valentine's sale or angling the marketing towards Valentine's. So this, for example, could be focusing on the products as a perfect gift for your Valentine, or Single Awareness Day, right? Buy a gift for someone during Single Awareness Day. Maybe get a free shipping or like a free extra gift or something that has a high margin for you. But just do something to freshen up the marketing and make it relevant for that time period. That's usually always generating more sales. And then we also look at where we can maximize the results. So we look at the peaks for this business. And as you can see here, it's very obvious that May is a really, really good month for this business. So when we're looking at building out the calendar for 2025, so this is of course the sales numbers for 2024, we definitely take that into account and we plan out what are we going to do during May to maximize the results we can get from that month. And when you have a lot of demand during a period and you're not doing anything special, that probably means that if you were to do a really special promotion during that time, you would get even much better results and you will be able to capitalize on that peak in your demand curve. And again, in July, summer months, it's a normal month for e-commerce to have slow sales. So we're starting to think of how we can increase sales here as well. Is there any product launch we can plan to do during this time? Can we make an exclusive bundle that we only run for a time, a little bit of period, just to add some urgency and scarcity? Or is there any other things we can do? So for example, we could run, that we give a certain amount of profits to a charity, that's good for brand building, but that also refreshes the marketing to make sure that we can, increase sales and get more attention. So yeah, this is how you should look at it and plan it out so that you don't fall into this spontaneous negative spiral of just running with high discounts to make sure you continue to sell, because over time, that's not a good strategy for most businesses. So now let's talk a little bit about how you actually structure the creative aspects of the campaign. And then at the end of the video, I will also show you how to structure the campaign in your ads manager and how we set it up. But let's now first talk about one of the most important elements of your promotional strategy, which is the creative elements in your campaign. So your ad copy, your creative, so the video image that you use in your ads, your headline, and how you structure this to make it appealing and make people notice it, because that's the main thing. You really need to make your target audience notice that you have a sale, and it needs to be appealing. So the first thing you start off when you build out this campaign for your ads, you need to highlight what they save and the benefit they get from this promotion. Focus on the benefit they get. What are your customers interested in saving on? What are they interested in getting? Don't focus on anything else before you do that. You also have to take into account that maybe this sale will be mostly just relevant to the middle of funnel and bottom of funnel part of your audience. So what I mean here is, if somebody is seeing this ad for the first time and they have no context to your brand or your business or your product, will this offer still be appealing? And in many cases, unless you have a really simplistic product, or maybe the product you're just reselling, so people are already aware of what a product is. But if that's not the case, then you probably need to warm them up with ads or, material that's just warming them up and getting them informed about unique selling propositions and the benefits of your product in general before you start talking about this offer. So if that's the case, you don't need to start informing them about the product here. You just go straight to focusing on the sale. So what they save, the benefits there, and also make sure you focus on maximizing the perceived value of this offer. That does not necessarily mean you need to run a high discount or anything, but you can put multiple things together to make it feel like this is a really, really great deal. So as an example, if we look at Palo Valley here, they're running an anniversary sale and you get a free mystery gift. And they also tell you that you get up to $49.99 in value, right? So you get a free gift and you also can get up to 35% off. So they're really focusing on informing you about what you can save here. Same thing for Gymshark, summer sale, up to 60% off. Really simple sale. They just go straight to informing you about the sale because people already know about the product in this case, because they're targeting middle of funnel and bottom of funnel. So that being said, you also, and this is a step that I see a lot of businesses skip, and this is one of the most important things to make this effective. And that's actually giving the potential customer a reason to buy, or in other words, give the promotion a reason to even exist. So what you also need to take into account is that your potential customers, they might be in a position where they actually want to buy. They want your products, they want to spend that money, and they want to have that good feeling of, getting something new and buying your product or your service. But they're only lacking excuse to spend that money, right? So if you have a really novel reason, right, for why they can take action on that offer, then they have an excuse in their head to tell themselves, oh, they have a really special offer. That's a good reason for me to finally buy this thing that I've been dreaming about getting, right? So as an example, look at how Palo Valley does this. They run an anniversary sale, right? And this is maybe something you haven't even thought about before, but there's so many different things throughout the year that you can angle your sales towards. So instead of just running like a special sale, it's related to something that's time-based. So for example, it's the month of when you started your business. Maybe it was, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or maybe you just run this actually every year. You run this, 1 week or 1 month per year, you run an anniversary sale, right? And that way it's time-bound. You have a excuse for the potential customer to actually take action on it. And by using something time-bound, you're just implying urgency in the offer as well. So definitely make sure you have a reason for why the offer exists and angle it towards something that's time-bound. So the next thing we're going to look at is how to structure your ad copy. So I have a framework that we use. The first part of the ad copy, so the primary text, will be to get attention, to actually make people notice the offer. Then we're going to quickly just effectively communicate the value of the offer. Then we're going to build some trust on the offer and the business. And then we're going to add a strong call to action with scarcity and urgency to make them take action. In the headline, we're going to focus on attention and value. So grabbing the attention and sharing what value they get with this offer. And then again, in the link description, we're going to restate and reinforce the urgency and scarcity or trust. So I'll share you a free checklist here where we also have the framework for ad copy. So if you want this sheet, you can find the link in the description. Give me your email address and I'll send this over to your inbox and you can use this for yourself. But the first thing here, you can look at the examples, come up with your own, or just steal, copy paste one of the examples here for the hook, where you just have one word that really is attention grabbing. Then after that one, you go straight into the offer. So you just state what they're saving or the benefit of that offer to make sure they quickly understand why to take action on it and how interesting it is for them. And then you add some social proof. So there's many ways of doing that depending on your business. Maybe you have a lot of 5-star reviews, maybe you have a lot of testimonials. Yeah, as you can see in the examples, there's many ways to do this. If you have been endorsed by industry leaders, or if any magazines you've been featured in or anything like that, definitely utilize that as much as you can to build that trust and credibility. And then the call to action part, that's extremely important to do properly. So make sure you add urgency and scarcity to the call to action to make it more effective. Of course, you don't want to come off as too salesy here, so you might want to apply a balance between the urgency and scarcity. Maybe you want to tone it down a little bit, but make sure you actually have some form of urgency, because if not, it's just not going to be as effective at the offer. And also make sure you insert the URL to the landing page for the offer in the ad copy. This is something I see so many people forget to do, but the more places you can actually have the link, the more people are going to click on it. So even if it's the call to action button or just URL in the primary text, make sure you add both. So this is how you structure it. You can look at these examples and make your own, but definitely try to follow this framework to have the best results. As you can see, link description as well, some examples you can use and take inspiration from, and then apply it in your ad to make it more effective. Now, another really essential part here is that you restate your offer on the landing page, the home page, and the top banner on your website. Make sure that there's a clear match between what people see in your ads in terms of what the offer is there and what they see when they land on your landing page. That might be obvious for some of you, but sometimes I see like a big discrepancy between what things looks like in the ads and what happens when they get to the landing page. So make it very obvious that the offer is active after they click and land on your website. If you don't do that, then it's just going to be way less effective. So when people land on your landing page, do you want to continue to show the urgency, the scarcity, and the value of the offer as much as you can? The ads job is pretty much just to get them to click on there. You still have to like push them all the way through and convert them. So make sure you continue to make the offer appealing on the landing page, and you restate everything that you've said in the ads so that people are reassured that the offer is still active. So now we're going to look at how we structure this within the ad account. So now inside one of my clients' ad accounts, and I will just show you this as an example. As you can see here, we have two campaigns. One is active and one is no longer active. The unactive one was the summer sale that we recently ran. And as you can see, we're separated this into two different campaigns. So we have our main campaign, which is the evergreen strategy that we use. If you haven't seen that video, click the link in the description. I just published that video a few days ago where I talk about how you can set up the best possible evergreen campaign. But you definitely want to separate these things out. You don't want to add these ads into your main campaign where you have your evergreen setup. So what I mean here is the promotional ads that focus on the savings and the sale is a separate campaign from the campaign that's just focusing on warming up audiences and informing people about the benefits of your product. So that's going to be two different campaigns, and you might think that there will be overlap between these two. And in general, we've never seen any issues with that. Even though we are kind of targeting the same audience here, we've never seen any problems with running this structure because the same people that see your ads in the evergreen campaign, some of them just haven't converted yet because they don't have a reason to. So if they then see an ad from this summer sale or promotional campaign, then that might be the campaign they needed to see ads from to convert. The only thing that you need to be mindful of here is that, yeah, the evergreen campaign might have done the heavy lifting of like informing people about the product and warming them up, but then the promotional campaign comes in and takes all the credit. So keep that in mind, that there could still be a big benefit of continuing to scale and run the top of funnel evergreen campaign. Then what we do when we set it up, we usually just go with broad targeting. So we let the targeting thing stay open mostly. Like if we know that we're mostly just getting women as customers, then we might just note it down to only women. But we keep automatic placements or advantage plus placements, making sure we take advantage of all the possible placements we can have. In addition to that, we just let everything else stay open pretty much, and then we launch between 4 to 5 different ads. And that's also really essential. Make sure you have a few different creatives that you launch, not just one ad. You need a few different ads to increase the probability of one of these ads being effective enough for you to scale the campaign. Many times when we launch a campaign, we see a big difference between the different ads that we launch. So make sure you have a big difference between the creative elements in the ads. So specifically the image or the video. You can try out different formats, one image, static image, one video, one carousel, but make sure you have different types of ads so that you increase the probability of one of them being a really good and clear winner. And then after that, if you want to continue to test, you can then focus your resources and time in that direction. So for example, if the video ad worked way better than static ads, then you just continue to make video ads regarding this offer. So as you can see, some examples of how we run the ad. As you can see, we're really focused on the discount side of things. And we also have the URL to the landing page in the ad copy. So this is how we structure it. Very simple, but it's also super effective for us. So make sure you apply this strategy. Now, if you want to get a simple checklist that you can use to make sure that you structure and set up the most effective promotional campaign you possibly can, you can click the link in the description of this video and I will send you this checklist. Just go through it. There's also a little bit of an explanation of how to do each step and what to focus on. And you can use this for yourself, or you can send this to someone in your team to make sure that they set this up in the best possible way. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll like the video. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. If you want to see future videos, subscribe. And yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.